I've had farmers tell me, well, I've got great soils, I've got great ground, I don't need starter. Well, I think the last slide tells us that even in really high productivity soils, you can still have a nice yield increase from starter. It's just when and where are you going to have those environments where you need that early phosphorus availability, okay? And so you really have to look at starter as an insurance policy against those conditions. And so this is getting back to your question. So if you were to apply 16 pounds of phosphorus, let's say you were going to apply 100 pounds of phosphorus as DAP. Okay. So let's say now you're only going to apply 84 pounds of DAP, and you're going to replace that with 16 pounds of P2O5 from a starter source.
Okay, I get what you're saying now, yep.
So now that phosphorus that's in the starter is only going to cost you $2, $3, maybe $4 per acre. So the cost is pretty minimal if you just reallocate funds to placement, because you're using placement now to increase availability, and you're not just buying phosphorus that may not be efficiently used, okay? And so now we could use something like 1032O and wouldn't have to have the potassium hydroxide, because the potassium hydroxide is a safer source of potassium than KCl.
Just a low salt, basically.
It's a lower salt form of potassium. So that's why we use the potassium hydroxide in products like 624-6, because it's a seed-safe potassium source. Now we don't have to worry about those seed-safe products necessarily, because we're not applying it in furrow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, it could even become, instead of that maybe $4 an acre, maybe we're talking 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe, I don't know. But the bottom line is it's not going to cost you much to apply a little bit of phosphorus with some nitrogen at planting. Okay. And you're going to have a very, very cheap insurance policy against cold, wet weather conditions where you see these big yield increases from starter.